So obviously super pumped. I was just telling Jack Greylan that when I was in Nashville during CMA week, like I just at the Cole Swindell show at the Ryman, and I'm just hanging out with Dylan Marlowe just in the lobby, and I just see like two
Yeah.
guys walk down the stairs, and I'm like, yo, I've talked to Greylan on and off just like through text like the past couple months, and then like just by chance saw him at the Ryman, and yeah, dude, it was just so cool because there's two nights there for Cole. He played one of the songs he had written, and I don't know, man. Like I know us here at Country Central, we have a huge appreciation for what y'all do as songwriters. So it's nice now, kind of full circle, to have you on the
Yeah.
podcast and welcome. I mean, we got Greylan James. So for those that don't know, he's written some of the biggest songs this past year. How Is She by Cole Swindell. In the past, he's written a number one for Kenny Chesney, Happy Is, and he wrote another song that I just love currently, Jordan Davis's Next Thing You Know. So it's really cool, dude, to have you on. And yeah, I mean, how have you been doing?
Absolutely. Man, I am good. I've been cold. I've been up in Northeast Ohio and playing shows up there, and it is cold up there, but those people get rowdy. So I drank the cold off, but I'm glad to be back in Nashville here with my dog, man, for Thanksgiving, and it's good to be home, but it's good to talk to you guys, man. I tell you what, I've been a fan of you guys for a long time. What you guys do for new artists and songwriters, and you guys have really inspired a ton of country fans and listeners. So, dude, I'm excited to be here talking with you boys.
Awesome,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Yeah, I think the one thing you just got off the road with Restless Road, right? So tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that. Then we can just dig into just the history of Greylan, if you will. But I know you've been on tour, so you've been a road dog for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, it was my first time being on tour as an artist. I just started putting out my own songs earlier this year. The past 6, 7 years since I moved to Nashville, I've just been behind the curtain, and this is my first time getting in front of it. And Restless Road, man, I've written a bunch of awesome songs with them, and I was just always a fan of those guys, and I always hung out with them. They were really close friends, and then Colton called me one day and was like, "Yo, you want to go on tour?" It's their first headlining tour, and I was like, "Absolutely, man!" And they were awesome markets. The shows were fantastic. Those guys, if they weren't sold out, the shows weren't sold out, which a lot of them were. They were near capacity, so I was impressed, man. I was just happy to tag along and kind of get out there, and it was a great first experience. And man, we had a lot of fun. I'm sad it's over this past Friday. Friday night was our last show in Rootstown, Ohio. But man, it was awesome. I had a freaking blast, and my liver has got to do some recovering over the holidays. I'll say that much.
Yeah, everyone, the holiday lockdown of you, everyone's just like hunkering down back at home, wherever home is for them, and taking a
Yeah.
break from the road, from riding, from touring, whatever it is. So, yeah, Jack, I know we were just curious. I mean, Greylan's been a part of some big songs that we all like collectively, and I mean, you did mention 6, 7 years in Nashville. Just for people that don't know, you are a songwriter by trade. You have an artist career, but what even brought you to Nashville? What's your history with music?
Well, absolutely, dude. You know, when I was 5 years old, I just always knew that I love country music, and I didn't know why. My parents always loved music, and East Tennessee. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, so we obviously had a guy, Kenny Chesney, who grew up right down the road from where I'm from, and then Morgan also, uh, same little community, Morgan Wallen, Kelsey Ballerini, again 5 minutes down the road. So we music was always deep. It was just in the water out there, and so it was easy to kind of see it not as an unrealistic dream. It wasn't even a dream. It was more of a goal because there's so many people from that area that had done the move to Nashville and been successful. And I was hearing them on my radio and my dad's radio on the way to school. So I just always knew I wanted to do it. And so my papaw got me a little toy guitar, little first act guitar, for my fifth Christmas, and I played that thing till my fingers bled, and I knew it. And in kindergarten, my mom's got the picture of or the piece of paper that said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "Country music artist, not star, country music artist." So, man, I always knew that I was just going to do it. It never slipped my mind that I was going to do something else. And so I would sing in competitions around East Tennessee, and then it kind of just grew. And I started my band when I was 10 or 11 years old, and just started playing anywhere that would have me, Mexican restaurant patios, anybody's back porch. And I just always loved it. And then I kind of wrote songs a little bit. I didn't do much. I was really obsessed with the playing side of it. And I love playing guitar and singing. I never thought about the songwriting aspect. And surprisingly, when I was 17 years old, I had written a song by myself about Elvis Presley, and it wasn't that great, but my dad had submitted it to like some competition on the internet for like $5 and said it would be heard by music executives around the world or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, Dad, you just wasted $5." And we're sitting at a basketball game in East Tennessee, and we get a call from a guy named Bob DiPiero, who's a Hall of Fame songwriter. And I guess he was one of the music executives that heard the song, and he invited me to Nashville the next day. So we got in the car. I skipped school, drove to Nashville, and they gave us a tour of their little publishing company that they had here in Nashville. And they said they wanted to sign me to a publishing deal, and I had no idea what that was. Um, I'd only written probably like 10, 15 songs in my entire life. And then I signed it the day I turned 18, and I started writing songs every single day with people I didn't know. And I didn't know that's how this worked. I was shell shocked for that first 2 years I lived in Nashville. And then something just clicked, and I listened to like Old Dominion, and I'd seen how they were songwriters first, and I just fell in love with the craft and the process of what songwriting was. And it's so random because I moved here to be a country music star, and I really fell in love with the behind the scenes side of it. That was one of the first things I loved about Nashville and the country music business. And it was an unexpected thing, but man, I got lucky, and I'm glad that my path led me that way.
Man, Graylan, you've been a part of some really wicked cuts in the last couple of years. I mean, folks that I think all three of us have been fans of for decades at this point. One of them is probably my favorite song on the radio right now, "Next Thing You Know" by Jordan Davis, that
Yeah.
current single. I really wanted to ask about that one in particular, like, coming off of this wave that he's riding right now with Buy Dirt and everything. Like, how did you get connected with that crew? Like, how did all of that come together?
You know what? It was a pressure filled day because we knew that Jordan. I'd talked to my publisher, and I'd heard around town that Jordan Davis was almost done with his album. And as a songwriter, when you don't have a cut in the pile, you're like, oh no, that's not good. I don't have something in the pile. So I saw that day come up on my calendar that Jordan Davis wanted to write that day. And I'd had it with Josh Osborne and Chase McGill, and they threw Jordan on there, and I was like, okay, this is pressure because he was cutting it on that Monday, and we were writing on that Thursday. And it was coming off of CMA Fest too, so I think a lot of us were collectively hungover. So there was a lot of challenges going into that day, but I had a feeling it was going to be special because the guy that got me started, or the person that really got me started in music, was my papaw. And that was his first heavenly birthday, and so I knew it was bound to be a special day when I showed up that day. And we started sitting down, we started talking, and Josh Osborne's obviously just an incredible writer, but so I knew that it was going to be awesome. And then Chase McGill is another good friend of mine that I knew that if we got on the right idea, we'd be good and we'd be solid. So we started talking, and it was Jordan's son's first birthday, I think, that weekend. And we just kind of started talking about family and how fast life goes. And then Jordan said he had that title in his phone, and next thing you know, dude, we're rolling, and we're writing this song. And we decided, let's not have a repetitive chorus. Let's not use the same chorus twice. And which is a very taboo thing to do in Nashville. Anytime that you don't do that, you don't repeat the chorus. Usually, people are saying when you turn the song in that that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So we knew it was a cool song. I think I left that day, and I talked to Chase after and was like, dude, that's a special song. I hope that it gets through because it's definitely going to be different. It doesn't sound like your typical radio hit. And Jordan went in with Paul DiGiovanni, a close friend of mine, and Paul texted me and was like, "Bro, this is uh this is a special song. This is gonna make waves." And first time I heard the cut, man, a preview of it with everybody else on TikTok, I was like, "Oh man, I think we I think we really did something that day." And I'm not gonna lie, man, we cried while writing it, and I cried like a baby. I've never had a cut hit me like that. I've written songs, like you said, for a lot of people, but that song when it came out and I heard it for the first time with everybody else, I bawled. I bawled like a baby. And I don't have kids, but that's the kind of song that makes you want to find somebody and settle down and live that song. So I'm thankful for that song and proud of that one.
No, man. I mean, I personally love that one. I mean, there's lines like my parents are getting older too, and like you always get afraid like what could happen in the future. And there's like literally the line about saying how USC is too far. Literally, my dad went to
Yeah,
USC, and when I was going to go to college, like it was between USC and University of Texas, and I got into both. Wanted to go to California, and they're in Texas. They're like it's too far, and it's just like a full circle moment. So like you mentioned your papa, you mentioned Jordan have his first kid, like there's a reason that song connects with so many people. Like though, that's what's the
absolutely.
beautiful thing about country music, and kind of the beautiful thing about the writing industry and the co-writing is that the fact that Jordan may have had that one experience, but you bring in my grandfather got older. I mean, he's not here anymore. And
Yeah,
then people bring in other experiences. That's what makes songwriting so special. Is the shared
absolutely.
perspectives. So it's a song that Jack is not a single yet, but come on, I think that's a layup. You got to make that song a single. Next thing you know, I think that's a huge song. Like in my opinion, like on the same plane as Buy Dirt. So I definitely hope you get that one. But damn, like I mean, that's just to me 2022, 2023. That's a song that I'll keep coming back to. So love that
I
you're a
appreciate
part
that.
of that. And then also, I mean, Kenny Chesney. I'm just so curious. How did you ever meet Kenny? That's just the first story I really want to know about.
Hey, you know what? It's a random thing, dude. I had actually met Kenny because, like I said, we're from the same hometown, and I kind of was just shadowing him my entire life because when you're growing up in Knoxville and you're playing guitar, like I said, on Mexican restaurant patios and in the corner of a Shoney's, there's always going to be somebody that walks up to you and says, "Yeah, I think you're going to be the next Kenny Chesney. I think you're going to be the next Kenny Chesney." And if I had a dollar for every time I heard that growing up, um, and so I'd always just wanted to wanted to be that guy, and also just been a massive fan of his for a long time. But I was actually in a bluegrass band when I was 11, and I played mandolin in this little bluegrass band. We're called the Cider Mountain Boys, and it was me and like four 80-year-old guys, and so we're playing this like benefit show at a brewery, and all of a sudden I see this crowd just like shift to the back of the room. I was like, "Well, that's weird," and I'll never forget it. And then all of a sudden, I see Kenny Chesney and Peyton Manning walking in together, and I'm just, of course, again, Peyton Manning being a Tennessee Vol, that's my team, and I was freaking out. I just completely lost all feeling in my fingers and my entire body. And after that, after we got done playing, obviously I ran up and my dad walked me up to Kenny, and we started talking, and so I took a picture with him, and that was it. And I had that picture framed up in my bedroom growing up, and I moved to Nashville with that picture. And I had never talked to Kenny since. I didn't know him from Adam. And one day, I'd heard that Kenny Chesney was recording a new album, and he was looking for songs. And so me and Brock Berryhill, Jamie Pollan, and Brad Clausen got together because we'd all been canceled on that day, and the day we wrote Happy Does. And yeah, we were bummed. I was supposed to write with Brock and a new artist, and that new artist canceled on us. And then Brad and Jamie were supposed to write with another new artist, and they got canceled on. So we were like, let's just join forces. And we got together, and I just gotten back from Key West, and I had a something about being happy, like choose happy, in my phone. And Jamie, being the funny, interesting soul that he is, referenced Forrest Gump. For some reason, I don't know why his brain went there, and he said, "What about happy is as happy does?" And so we wrote that song. It sounded like a Kenny Chesney song. We wrote it deliberately for Kenny, and then I turned it in to my publisher, sent it to them. I didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a call from a private number, and I'm declining it because I think it's a spam call. And then I check my voicemail, and I saw I guess it translates it or transcribes it, and I saw, "Hey, it's Kenny Chesney," and I was like, "Oh no, dude!" And it said private and blocked, so I didn't know how to call him back. Like I couldn't call him back, and so like I'm like, "What the hell?" And so I'm looking at my phone all day. I'm keeping that some bitch on ringer, dude, and he finally calls me back, and he's saying that he's going to record the song. And we kind of talked through it, and the next 3 months were crazy waiting for it to come out. And then it came out, and then he called me again, said it was going to be a single, which that was my first time ever having a song on the radio was with him. And so Again, I'd never met him through that entire process. When the song was on the radio, it was COVID, so we couldn't celebrate all together, and so I didn't know him at all. And after the song did its thing and it came off the radio, and I didn't talk to him for a year, and then I heard that he was starting to look for songs again, so I started writing some more songs, and all of a sudden I was getting a handful of Kenny cuts, and so we started talking a little bit. He's like, "Man, like I'd love to meet you and hang out with you." And so we started talking pretty much every other day and talking about songs and talking about girls and everything. So he kind of became a good friend of mine over the past, I'd say, year and a half. And my first time actually meeting him since all the song stuff and current stuff was in Chicago at Soldier Field. And me and Adam James, who wrote "Knowing You," just got in my Altima, and we just drove on up to Chicago, and then we got drunk as hell with Kenny Chesney on his bus after the show. We drank like 35 Bud Lights. It was great, and it was just surreal, man. And so since then, yeah, I've hung with Kenny a handful of times, and he's got really awesome new music that he's working on. That's gonna be coming out next year, and I can't. I'm itching for people to hear it because I think it's game changing for him. So
Yeah, the thing I would say,
it's pretty
Jack,
wild.
about that, I mean, Kenny's one of the artists in my mind, Graylan, that man, it doesn't matter what era he's been in. Like I mean, he's aged super gracefully in country music, in my honest opinion. He's a guy that like I would hear
Very
on the
so.
radio as a kid, and then I go to college, meet girls, break up with girls, but they'd be like, Kenny Chesney's my favorite artist. So I'd learn his
Yeah.
songs so I could play it for a girl. And now it's
Oh yeah.
like, and now he's like having like a second win in a sense where like he can still play stadiums, and younger people are
Yeah.
now coming on to him saying like, hey, this is a great artist just because of the vibe he exudes, you know? So
Absolutely.
I just love that he spans generations, and that is just an incredible way to meet somebody that you've idolized over
Yeah.
the years. So I mean, he's
Oh,
he's one of
absolutely.
my favorite artists for sure.
No, that's
Absolutely.
incredible. Goodness. No, one other song I wanted to talk about, and obviously things are still kind of like up in the air with, She Had Me at Heads Carolina being the smash that it was. But you wrote How Is She on the Cole Swindell album, and we're all kind of pulling for that one to get the push in 2023.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But wanted to ask about that and how that, I mean, obviously being an outside cut and how that landed on Cole's record.
Oh, absolutely. That was another one that was deliberately written for Cole Swindell. You know, I'd met Cole randomly, so I'm signed to William Morris, the booking agency here in town, and my agent is actually a guy named Kevin Meads, who is also Cole's agent, and he always compared me to Cole in the sense of somebody who started off writing songs and was a hit songwriter before they were playing shows and doing the artist thing. And Cole, a lot of people don't know, but Cole, had 4 or 5 number ones as a songwriter pre everything else. And and so I always I was a massive fan of Cole. He was one of the reasons I moved here, and he was one of the reasons that I figured out songwriting because I just was obsessed with his records and always tried to write songs that I thought could stand up or at least be in the same company as his songs on his album. So I was always a big fan. But then Kevin Meads was sending Cole some of my songs and just being like, "Hey, listen to this guy I'm working with. Like, see what you think." And Cole just loved kind of what I was working on, and this was pre my Kenny song, this was pre everything. Cole had no preconceived notions. He didn't know who the hell I was. He didn't know who was writing these songs. He just liked them, which that's a hard thing to do, man, because in Nashville you see the names and you assume that certain guys are going to write the great songs, and so to give a chance to somebody that's on the up, it's a big deal, especially from somebody at Cole's stature. And so um, I think that Cole reached out and was like, "Man, I'd love to write sometime." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And so I guess the summer of 2020 during COVID, we just started writing a ton of songs, and I think we wrote probably 20 or 25 songs, and not really for Cole, just writing great songs and hanging out and drinking White Claws and just doing the thing, and there was no pressure to it, and became close friends over that process. And then same thing, I started to hear that his record was getting wrapped up, and I was like, I don't have a Cole Swindell cut. That's not good. And so me and Hunter Phelps and Brock Berryhill were like, "Yo, do you guys have Cole cuts?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, oh no, like let's get together and let's try to write one for him, man. And I'd recently been through a breakup, man, and so I had that title kind of as a sensitive subject in my phone that I was like waiting for the right moment when I was ready to write that song. And that day, it all kind of connected, and we started writing it. And we're like, let's make sure that this is something that Cole is gonna love. And so we went as hard, and we focused on that lyric for hours and hours and hours, and on the demo, and we knew we wanted it to be something that Cole heard and was gonna be blown away by. And luckily, the song got sent to him, and it got to Cole, and he loved it as much as we did. And it was always a song that him and his team always loved. And to get outside songs is hard anymore. And for Cole to take a chance on that song and absolutely sing the hell out of it, I mean, that's another one of those songs, man. When it dropped that midnight, I couldn't stop listening to it. I was just mesmerized by what him and LaCourt and Zach Crowd did on that song. It was just it was incredible, man. And to see the reaction live is just to see it at the Ryman. I mean, I've never seen a song do what that song's done, especially a breakup song. It's just connected on a different level than any other song that I've been a part of has. And people still wonder, how is she wearing red around all those Denver Broncos, man? When we wrote that line, I remember Hunter started the chorus with "How is she liking that life out in Colorado?" And we were like, "Well, what rhymes with Colorado?" And Hunter looked it up on Rhyme Brain, and the first thing that came up was Bronco. And we are like, "Oh my god, dude!" It was just like this mind blowing moment.
Y'all get
And we're like, "That,
creative. That's nuts.
bro!" It was like that made so much sense. I mean, I've not talked about that since the day we wrote it. I was like, "Oh my god!" And as soon as we wrote that line, we thought that whether Cole cut that or not, we knew that that song was going to land somewhere. And thank God Cole found it, because I don't think anybody could have done it justice like he did. So, man, I'm pumped for that one. I hope I do hope it ends up in people's cars and on the radios. But regardless, man, that's a song that I'm proud of, and thank God that Cole did it. And I got a cut with one of my good buddies and one of my favorite artists.
No, I'll say you mentioned a bit ago about people calling you the next Kenny Chesney, but I definitely see like a lot of parallels between you and Cole in that way. Who
Yeah,
he came up as a songwriter, he was kind of like under Luke Bryan's wing, and he was like
yeah,
his motion dude. But no, I mean, kind of your trajectory headed the same way because now you're branching out in the artist direction. I know you played guitar on the Chris Jansen record a couple of years back,
yeah.
but I wanted to ask about like how all of that came together, where you've got this talent as a multi-instrumentalist and obviously you're writing your own songs, and what was like the light bulb moment where you were like, some of these songs could be for me too?
You know what? I want to give credit to Cole. I'm glad you said that. I want to give credit to Cole Swindell on that one. I'd always kind of been insecure about it because I'd never been that way until I got to Nashville. And I felt like a big fish in a small pond in East Tennessee. And then I got here and I was like blown away by the talent on 16th and 17th Avenue. And it's just the best artists, the best songwriters, the best everything in country music is here. And I just didn't feel worthy, man, especially when I started like seeing the shows and seeing the caliber of these guys and these girls that were just incredible singing talents and personalities. They just had those X factors as artists, and I just didn't see that in myself for those first few years. I just got insecure, and I was like, I'm just gonna be a songwriter, man. Like this is working. I'm making money. Um, I'm having success that way, so I think that this is what I'm gonna do. And then I started writing with Cole during like 2021, and we'd get to the end of the songs that we wrote, and Cole's like, "I want you to sing this. Like, I love your voice. I want to hear you sing this song." And I'm like, "No, dude, you're Cole Swindell, bro. Like, I want to hear you sing it for my listening purposes and my bragging purposes with my buddies back home." Um, but Cole always he was always just a big fan of me in that sense, in the artist sense. And once he did that, it gave me the confidence that I started listening to songs like, maybe I could do this. And then once How Is She came out, and once a lot of these songs started to come out, I started playing ride arounds, and people were actually at them in Nashville. There was actually people coming to shows. It started to kind of just become evident, and people started telling me like, "Yo, you should start putting these songs out." And but I would give the credit to Cole for getting that fire started, and man, it's been exciting because that's what I grew up wanting to do. And the first show I opened for Parker McCollum in October of 2021, and it was back in Knoxville. It just so happened to be in my hometown, and played for a sold out 2,500 room. And as soon as I walked on stage, I remembered why I fell in love with country music and playing country music, and it was like an old buddy. I didn't even have to catch up with him. It was just we were picked up right where we left off, and man, it's been so fun playing songs, recording songs on my own here in the studio, and knowing that any song that I write has a chance to come to life. I don't have to wait for somebody else to record it and hope that it comes out one day. Now, if I love a song, I can put it out regardless if somebody else records it or not, and hopefully it responds. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, you put out that EP, right? I hope she hears these this year.
Yeah,
I mean, there's songs on it that I still love listening to, like "Make the Best Memories," "Walls," and then you even
yeah.
dropped that song with freaking Jimmy Butler that you guys co-wrote on "Old Truck, Young Love." So, I mean, you told Jack a little bit about really why you love doing the artist side of your
Yeah,
expressions, but just talk a little bit about some of the people that you love to write with. I know Chase McGill's someone you write with a lot, Jesse Alexander,
absolutely.
Ben Hayslip. How the hell did y'all even connect to Jimmy Butler to co-write a song with him?
Man, it's so random, dude. Like, I was just chilling at the house and on a Sunday night, and Ben Hayslip, who lives like right down the road from me, he texted me. It was like, "Yo, do you want to write with Jimmy Butler tomorrow?" And I was like, "Is this like a new, Because every now and then you get an artist that, Jordan Davis, is also a big defensive tackle for I think the LA Rams or somebody. Um, And so I was thinking it's that kind of situation, like, oh, Jimmy Butler, like this new guy at Sony or something. And I was like, yeah, what's he got going on? He's like the NBA player. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, there's no freaking way. And I'll tell you what, I mean, if anybody that knows me knows that I'm overly obsessed with sports and sports betting and sports video games. I've played 2K every year since I was probably 12 years old. So I have never been starstruck by country artists, or any really celebrity that I've been around. And Jimmy Butler walks into my studio, in Nashville, and I lost it, dude. I lost all ability to speak. I'd never been around that kind of celebrity before, and also I'm only 5'9", so like he was obviously bigger than life in a lot of different ways, and he just loved country music and he wanted to just write songs and see what the process was. And as much as we were so amazed by what he did, he felt the same about us, sitting there writing songs. And we wrote 2 songs that day. And Jesse Alexander, man, she's obviously incredible, and she didn't really know much about Jimmy Butler. She didn't really know much about him, so she was the cool headed one in the room. Where me and Ben, sports guys, were just asking him like LeBron or Jordan or whatever. What's John Morant going to do this year? And Jesse's over there actually trying to write a song. So she was the cool headed one that day. But yeah, it was insane, dude. But yeah, I mean those uh, Ben Hayslip and Jesse are some of my favorite people that I've ever been around, and even know that I've written songs and had success with them. And I remember when I first got here and I started seeing the people behind the songs on credits. I saw their name everywhere, and I was like, you know what? One day, if I get to write with those people, it's going to be a game changer for me. And it has been, but also it's been a life changer for me. They're becoming really close friends of mine, and that's crazy. Life is crazy.
I love it, man. So my last question I got for you, Graylan, is: has she heard these? I mean, the title of the project. Did she actually hear them or hear one of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. She definitely has, and I'll tell you what, man. 2023 is going to be exciting for the artist front, man. I'm really excited, especially now that I got my legs under me for new music. I'm confident as I've ever been. Earlier this year, I was just hoping that people would hear these songs and like them, and not only like the songs, but believe in me as an artist, not just a songwriter. And that's happened. And so, man, I'm pumped. I've got a song coming out the first week of January. I think this is the first time me saying that. My publicist might kill me for that, but whatever, dude. Let's go. Uh, and I want to send that. I want to make it a Benji exclusive, dude. I want to send it to you, and Jack, I'll send it to you too, dog. And I'm pumped for it, man. I just got the master back, and I think it's gonna be a game changer. And so I've got a lot of cool stuff in the works. Old Dominion tour,
I
top of the
know.
year.
Congrats on that. Who do you write the unannounced single with?
I wrote it with Matt Roy, just me and Matt.
Yo,
Dude,
Yeah.
y'all are both doing something special now with your music, so I'm excited to hear that. That's awesome. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I just right before I got on here, I had a 2.5 hour conversation on the phone with Matt, just talking about life and music and our careers and why we're doing the artist thing and how excited we are for each other. And I played the master for him, and that was a day that we just got together and we are like, you know what, like we were down that day, we are down in the dumps, and we just started like just writing a bunch of choruses, and then we started writing this chorus of this song in particular, and we're like, okay, we got to finish that. And so we finished it. It got on hold with a bunch of different artists as soon as we got there and with the demo. And I always knew it was a special song, but everybody kept saying that I think that's a Greylan song. I don't think that's a another country artist song. I think that's something you put out. So I'm finally excited for people to hear it, man. I think it's a game changer for me, and I can't wait to see what people think. And I'm glad Matt's on it, man. I'm
Yes,
pumped.
sir. Keep it going, brother.
man,
Hell
that's
yeah.
the dopest thing. No, keep an eye out for that single. Like they said, check out the No Bad Vibes tour with Old Dominion, top of the year. And as for us, you can hit up Country Central all week long on Instagram. Check out the camo Country Central hat, countrycentralshop.com. Y'all know what it is.